Hi, everybody. We are back with Holistically Speaking, and we are today we are talking about holidays and Happy New Year. It's 2022. Yay! New year, new you, refreshing everything. And so today we're just going to be we're coming to you the whole trio, and we are talking about just how things went over the holiday and how holidays can go, and sharing some of our holiday traditions and memories today. So I am one part of this trio. I'm Dr. Katherine Jackson. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist and a board certified neurotherapist, and I am going to turn it over to my sister Renelda so she can introduce herself.
I'm Renelda Jones, and I am located in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I am a licensed clinical social worker and a certified integrative medicine provider, mental health provider. Sheila.
I'm Sheila Ivlev. So I am an occupational therapist emphasizing wellness and mental health. And we all share the same certification that changed recently. So that's why you hear us stuck on how to say it. We are
Stumbling a little bit.
certified integrative mental health professionals, the three of us, even though we have different educational backgrounds. So I want to acknowledge this is actually kind of a pet peeve of mine because occupational therapists often do like crafts and tasks and activities that are themed. And so everybody's been talking about Christmas, but not all of us celebrate Christmas. So I was raised Hindu in San Francisco. So we actually celebrated Christmas, probably not the right way, but we did the whole tree and gifts and pretended Santa Claus existed when I was a kid, did the family meals and all of that stuff. So I just want to acknowledge that the holidays just passed, but there are very many holidays celebrated all around the world, celebrated differently based on your religion and culture, where in the world you are, where in the world you're from. And so your foods look different, your traditions look different. But we also have a lot of things in common, which include food and getting together. So while we're here, I want to ask you all to use the chat or pop it into the comments. What holidays do you celebrate? Like, what's in your tradition? And even what do those holidays look like? So that's something that we're going to be talking about. What holidays did we celebrate? And what did those family gatherings look like? So I mentioned I was raised Hindu, so we don't eat beef, right? Which isn't really, I don't think people that celebrate Christmas have too much beef in their foods. It's usually maybe turkey or ham. That's what we grew up eating. So what we did was we had like all the fixings, green beans, kind of like same as Thanksgiving, green beans, mashed potatoes, that jelly, whether it was out of a can or that cranberry jelly that you made
Cranberry.
yourself. And so the first day we would have like just the traditional fixings growing up in America, kind of what you see on TV. But the next day, my mom remixed everything because that food was just too bland, right? We're
Wow.
Indian, so we like spice and flavor, and salt and pepper is just not enough. Not enough. So my mom would remix those mashed potatoes and do them up with flavor. Take that turkey and turn it into like basically a curry. So everything the next day was just completely remixed with a lot more flavor. So Dr. Catherine, what did your holidays look like, or what did you do just this past few weeks?
Well, these past few weeks don't look like the traditional way I normally celebrate. It's been so different in the pandemic lately. And so I just rested pretty much. I didn't even have much of a focus on food. I did though. The way that I eat does look different from what I grew up with, because now I eat traditionally like plant based, and so no meat, no cheeses, or at least no traditional cheeses. Plant based cheeses, and so on and so forth. So it looks a little bit different, but this year I did not have a whole lot of a focus on the food, and much more focus on on rest. But growing up, some of my favorite things were like my dad. he was always like the fun. Not that my mom is not fun. I don't want that to come off like that, but he was always the fun side, and he would, like adventurous types of foods, different kinds of foods, and his pound cake. Like is to die for. I haven't had it in years because I'm also gluten free, but I still remember, like if he cooks it, I still remember the smell. And then my mom would make these huge salads for all of the holiday gatherings, like Thanksgiving and Christmas. And I would, if you ate too much, you would miss out on all the other food, because it could be a meal complete in and of itself. But we would all just like take little portions. But I remember taking that like for lunch afterwards because they were, like huge. So that is what it traditionally looked like. Just the traditional fixings like stuffing, turkey, baked mac and cheese in the black culture, not the box kind. All those kind of things are like fond memories around the holiday. And so, what does it look like for you, Ronelda?
So my holiday, it changes. It depends on the year. I'm first generation Michigander. Most my parents are from the South, and so and so they brought up some traditions from there for the holiday, but it's really 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 different when I actually go down south. So because I have individuals in my household who are picky eaters, or maybe they have like health conditions where their dietary needs are a little different, there's been some adjustments. I try to keep it as close to our natural food as possible in the Black culture, but with some changes. So instead of pork is very common in our culture to add its flavoring. So instead of doing that, maybe like a broth of maybe some turkey or broth of chicken, something along those lines. So they can still get the flavor, but they don't get all the unhealthy things. And they were able to compromise. They actually really liked it. So, but I definitely,
I find, Renelda, and I don't know if this is true with you too, Sheila, that if you don't say you swapped it, they don't even know. They don't even
they don't know.
Like I stopped announcing that my stuff was like healthier, or like it didn't have meat, or it didn't have typical milk and all that. I stopped announcing it because when I did that, my dish would be left untouched.
Oh yeah,
because and then when I just put it on the table like everything else, then there we go. Everybody ate it and loved it.
Well, in my family, the women, we are all cooking together. So let's say I start the cooking process and I have to go take a shower. My sister or my mom or this person or that person will finish off the dish or whatever they're actually put in there, but we all have an understanding. All have this understanding that this is the next step. So it tastes the same. It's just the health level is different. Right. But going down south, every now and then we would go down south during the holidays. Most of my southern trips were in the summer, but in the holidays, there's lots of family down there. We might meet at grandma's house, but then I have so many cousins and uncles and aunties. We eventually go to their house and then to the next person's house. Each person wants us to consume their food. We'll talk a little more about that. So it was an overabundance, and it's kind of encouraged during the holidays to have an overindulgence in everything, whether it's gifts, or food. It's just a part of the culture. And so, but you're not comfortable at the same time. And you're trying to enjoy people, but you also have the itis where you like want to fall asleep at the, So yeah, that's basically my holiday. But we had some good food. High sugar, that was the other one. A lot of sugar. So what about you ladies? So that's what. So that brings up the discussion about what are the benefits of having holiday dinners. And so if you are watching this live right now, let us know, like, what are some good things that you enjoy about having holiday dinners? Some of the benefits for me was seeing family that I wouldn't normally see because of location, but also I had wonderful memories associated with certain foods. A couple of years ago, I just wanted some pecan pie or pecan pie, depending on what state I'm in. I had to say it differently. I wanted that pie so bad. I just wanted one slice and I could not find it in Michigan unless it was a holiday. So I had to make the pie just to have some. But then I went and shared the pie with the people at work, and I ended up making 70 pies because they actually wanted to buy it from me. Now, I'm not here to talk about economics, which is great, but the memory of having pecan pie, the pecans came straight from the tree at my grandmother's house. She grows different fruit trees and nut trees in the back of her yard. So having those memories has always really like touched me because I always enjoyed going down there and having grandmotherly love. So, but what about you guys? Any benefits for you?
Wow. First of all, I just want to say I love that you guys cook together. That's how it was when I was like really little, but now we all cook and everybody brings a dish.
Mm,
And my aunt who passed right before the pandemic,
sorry.
that we would meet at her house. That's okay. One of my uncles took up the torch. I thought it was gonna be weird, but it actually turned out really nice. And then of course we all know what happened in 2020, so it was no gathering.
Yeah.
But that whole cooking together, that brought back fond memories. And I was behind in the studio when you said you cooked the 70 pecan pie. So I was just like, oh, what? That's a lot of pecan pies.
But you know what? I didn't have to shell them. When they got to me, they were already shelled. So whoever my grandma had do it was fine. It's perfectly okay with me. But that's one of the benefits of having holiday gatherings is that you get to be this part of a community, you have a belonging, and it's just amazing how many great memories you can develop with that. Just even our senses alone are connected to these memories. So those are some of the benefits.
Yeah, for me, it's cooking is an expression of love. I know people laugh at me. You guys can laugh as well, but I do not cook for everybody. Cooking is if it's traditionally when I've had to bring anything to a work setting, I don't cook. I will buy. I'll buy something really good, but cooking is an expression of love. I gotta really, really feel like I love you in order for you to be privy to some of the things that I cook and to bring it. And this is not to say that I hate coworkers, but it's not on the cooking level. All right, it's not on the cooking level. So
well, you can't eat everybody's food.
That's too.
I've learned.
That too.
So that's okay.
You cannot.
No. But some of the anybody else want to share?
Yeah, so I wanted to bring it back to the, we're talking about traditions and family. So my parents are immigrants. All my family that's here, they either all immigrated here or were the next generation that were born here. So we didn't celebrate these holidays back in India, right? So these are new traditions for us. And for us, like, I'm okay with indulging because it's the once a year, maybe twice a year. Obviously, we mentioned the pandemic, some of these things aren't necessarily happening, but you're still looking forward to them. So for us, these are new traditions that we've created that we look forward to. And these are foods that we do not eat, right? This is not Indian food, holiday food, at least that my family's eating when we get together over the holidays is not traditional Indian food. So what we'll do is, because our elders, they need their Indian food, right? Like I said, that food is just too bland for them. And so the latest traditions have been, there's always like a couple of Indian dishes. And it's funny because some of the kids, like that we aren't cooking this food at home, they look forward to these holidays and they want that Indian food, right? They don't want the turkey and ham. They'll save room for the Indian food. So for us, we haven't modified for health because we're only doing this once or twice a year. The rest of the year, we're eating completely different foods. So it's just really interesting because we have the same thing like etched in our minds. We're looking forward to that time of year so we can eat those things. But these are brand new traditions, right? Like we're doing this for the first generation of it.
That brings up a good point, Sheila, because I do look forward to having even with a modified version for like my the way that I eat. but being more indulgent around the holidays, and I might have a little bit more sweets, probably a lot more sugar than I have throughout the rest of the year, and just I just try to enjoy, and it's all about balance.
Mm-hmm.
We can't restrict ourselves all the time. I mean, I know some people do, and that way of eating works for them, but I like to enjoy, like, if I'm going to go on vacation, I'm going to taste something different, and um, it might not be the healthiest. And same thing with the holidays. I'm gonna enjoy a few extra things during the holidays.
Yeah.
And that balance is important so that if you are indulging, maybe you're just getting a little bit of everything so that you
Yeah.
have a taste, right?
Mhm.
So that you're not pushing your blood sugar too high or your blood pressure too high with salts, and you're not feeling guilty or feeling bad or
Yeah.
depriving yourself of
Mm-hmm.
that. Like, it's fun, it's family, everybody's doing it. You're doing this together, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think that brings an important topic of boundaries, because if you have health conditions, or you're one of those people that like the holiday takes you off the rails, then it might be important to be really mindful of how that's working in your life and maybe set some boundaries. Like for me, I love sweets. Like I could probably skip the chicken, skip this, and eat all the pies because sweets is my thing. But I know for myself that I had to make adjustments. And so what I have to do is make have more vegetables. I try to compensate in that way. Now, I'm not saying I don't have sweets, but I also know that having high levels of sugar is just not healthy for anyone, whether it's mental health or whole body wellness. And so having to set those boundaries is a necessity if you are a person that tend to go off the rails sometimes. It's not about being punishing yourself, or the guilt trip is, okay, I've made this decision. What can I do next time? Or how can I make an adjustment so I can have a better, healthier life? Because it's all about having balance in a healthy lifestyle. But one of the other boundaries that is difficult, especially when it comes to communities of color, is setting boundaries with family members when they want you to eat food after you've already eaten food. So what do you
Yes.
guys do? The viewers, let me know in the comments, what do you do when you go to multiple homes and they want you to eat their food? Like, have you had to set some boundaries? In the comments, let us know. And what about you, Dr.
I'm going to the comments right
Catherine?
now to look at this
I
because
know.
I want to hear what people say.
You were talking about, Dr. Catherine, that food is love, right? You feed the people you love, and that's the same in my culture. And so when you go to somebody's house, they want to feed you. And my culture, especially we're Bengali, like we invented the sweets. So it is, they're feeding you sweets, they're feeding you all kinds of stuff, but definitely sweets. And so if you are going to multiple houses, you're being force fed. If you don't eat it, like it's rude, you feel like you're insulting somebody, and you're almost rejecting love, right? Like, I'm giving you love, I want to feed you. And for me, it's because I eat small portions. I'm a eat small portions more throughout the day. I can't eat too much at once. I'll just eat a little bit. For at least the way that I was raised in my culture is, you take it, you say thank you, and you just eat a little bit of it. You don't have to finish it. And I mean, depending on the reality for you, it is okay to say no. It isn't rude. You still love the person. And hopefully it's not going to ruin your relationship, but most of the time people understand. And you just have to do what you have to do, because with food, often we have these emotions of guilt. And then sometimes you have the physical response of, you feel sick, right? And so that's not worth it.
Yeah, and I wonder. I don't. I'm like seeing what other people say. It's just like, but I wonder if part of it is going to be, or at least for me, is part of it is, having a little bit and then taking something with me. I can still enjoy it, and then I feel like I still have the holidays and the love that aunt or that uncle or that grandparent or that parent, put into it, or even cousins put into it, and I get to enjoy it throughout the week for my lunch. Like I look for, and I don't have to cook. That's a
You
good
know,
thing.
I want to add something there because this isn't related to families, but I don't believe either of you necessarily do home visits. I know some social workers do, but a lot of occupational therapists and other health professionals will go into people's homes, and depending on their cultural background, food is love, right? So they're offering you food because they appreciate you. They're grateful for you to be there. And so some places have rules where you can't eat food, or maybe you just don't feel comfortable. You're not sure what to do. And what you said, Dr. Catherine, is the perfect thing to do, and say, I can't eat it now, but I'm happy to take it. And then you do what you want with it, right?
And I've had to do that.
It's really about saying thank you.
Yeah.
And then figuring out what you need to do for yourself.
And you accept the love, because if you say no in that moment, somebody like, because I've gotten things from patients that they've made, and I can't eat it, and I can't eat it because of what it's made of. And then sometimes you don't feel comfortable with when some people cook something for you, as well, because you just don't know, like, kind of what it went into it and everything. But I accept the love, right? And then when I work, in group settings, with other clinicians, we can put the stuff on the table, and it may be good for somebody else. But I don't want to say, like, no, 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 and then have a whole explanation of why I can't eat it. And this, it's so much easier to just accept that love, even if I can't benefit from actually tasting it at that moment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Another thing that has helped me is offering to bring something. I do have a few friends and family who tend to not have any type of vegetable, which is fine. That's what they can have. But I will be the one to bring it. And so offer to say, hey, is it okay that I bring something? Because again, if food is love, I want to share my love as well. Okay.
Yeah.
And get that option.
I feel like I'm not sharing my love, or now that.
But that's an important, especially if you want a well-rounded meal. That's just helpful. Now, I was doing a talk one time, and I mentioned that someone mentioned, I just eat before I get there. I eat all the healthy stuff before I get there. If that's what you got to do, hey, I guess that works. But I know a lot of, and it might have changed in my generation a little bit, but in the African American community, it's very common to be told you have to eat all the food on your plate.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that comes from a place of not even knowing where food is going to come from next time.
Yeah.
So
not wasting. You're not
wasting
to waste the money.
Yeah, don't waste the money. You're right. So how do you, like, if you have that, viewers, if you've experienced that, like, how do you combat that, or how do you work around that, or do you or not? Let us know, because that's a topic that we probably need to talk about more and really work on, because we're all working on that in some communities. And I've seen that outside of the Black community, and people tend to have like guilt because of that.
Yeah.
It's like a mental balance going on with that, like a game, that they're like, okay, I'm not supposed to eat the whole plate. It's okay if I don't. I will survive if I don't eat the whole plate. I can have it later. But what are the repercussions if I don't eat the whole plate?
I would like to chime in, because I grew up where I was same thing. I was told, there are hungry kids in India, right? You should feel lucky that you have access to all of this food. Yeah. And so I did grow up with that guilt, and I had a lot of that guilt growing up. And, like you said, Dr. Catherine, you can pack some of that up. For me, that means I don't have to cook the next meal. But I've been composting. I'm lucky. I live in a city that actually composts not just yard waste, but food. And so I haven't had to build my own compost, but that's simple enough to do if you have any type of backyard or side yard space. But that really helps me feel better about if I can't eat something, like if I really can't eat something, if I can't eat it later, if I can't give it away, what's going to happen? At least it's going back to the earth, right? And then it's going to generate fuel for more food. And that makes me feel better about things that I really cannot eat or I can't share.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, I compost and never thought about composting my food that I can't eat from the holidays. So that is a great
Yeah, the
idea.
holiday food.
Throwing it right in
Yep.
here.
And I have a compost. I don't compost some things, but yeah, that would be a great idea because it's like the earth gives and you give back. So
Mhm.
it's just the cycle of life
Yeah.
replaying.
Mhm.
Yes, I love it.
And so I'm just wondering if some of the viewers, if you could tell us what you ate. So I talked a little bit about not focusing so much on food, but I did have some vegan mac and cheese. So like that's a must.
Mm.
Like I gotta have that for the holidays. And it's not a recipe that I cooked this year because I went completely on the lazy. Rest was my theme for the holidays. But I bought one that I love having, and then I just kind of like bake it in the oven, and I get it nice and crispy like growing up. But it's gluten free and it's vegan and it tastes yummy. So I would love for everybody who's viewing, if you would put it in the comments, like what did you eat? What do you like having? What do you look forward to eating during the holidays? I know we're past the holidays, but we're not that far, so you can remember some of what you just ate.
Oh, that's nice. Dr. Catherine, you're like 3 hours away from me. I could just get some mac and cheese from you.
You better call first, because that mac and cheese goes quick.
And I just want to say,
3 hours and with no mac and cheese.
it is not lazy to not make it. So we catered this year. I was not feeling the holidays. It's been a tough 2 years, and we're not going into this new year with things getting any easier. And so if you can find ways to give yourself less work and more rest, I mean, I think that's smart. That's not lazy. That's smart.
Thank you for reframing these words, because I sure was like, I'm just gonna be lazy. I'm not just gonna get
You
this
do
one.
what you got to
It's what
do
I love.
and still maintain your health and balance at the same time. That's what we're
Yeah.
about.
Yes.
Just finding ways to do that.
Holistically speaking, right?
Holistically speaking. All right, viewers. So you heard it here first. We're holistically speaking, and we will be covering some topics talking about nutrition, mental health, how food impacts our lives, our mood, our relationship with food. We just have so many topics to cover, and we also have something coming up for you. I mean, we've been working on this for so long. Again, we've added a little spice, we've added a little salt. You are going to love it. So make sure that you stay connected with us by subscribing or following our Instagram, our Facebook, wherever you're watching us from. Visit our websites. We all have great topics and blog discussions on there that you can take a look at to see some of our work. And what is our next topic? Do we have another topic?
We're going to be doing a live coming up.
We're doing a live.
On our special surprise that we're not going to tell you
what
it is yet. You got to stay tuned and follow.
You got to follow. And make sure that you share our lives with other people who need to hear this information, and tell them to follow us, because we have something important. Our next live, okay? We've been working on this thing for a year.
Huge launch. Huge launch.
We've went through it over and over. We got you. We definitely got you. And we took culture into consideration. We took us, women of color, into consideration. We took you. So make sure that you pay attention, follow our lives, and let us know what you think. If you got questions after viewing this, always come back to us. Make sure to leave a comment, and we can address that in one of our topics, because we want to know, what do you want to hear from us?
Yes. Yeah. And we want to speak on different things that you guys want to hear.
Mm-hmm. All right. And I think we are out. Holistically speaking.